Hello and welcome to Big Thoughts and Small Talk. We are back this week, the end of the week, summarizing what is going on in the world. I am joined in the studio by Alessandro Sintoni, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
And Liam Allen, say hello.
Good evening, everyone.
Awesome. So, how have you gentlemen been?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks.
Yeah,
Not too
everything
bad.
good.
Good. Awesome. How's the second week of term treating you?
Stressful.
Yeah, I agree. Stressful. We do the same degree, so
Yeah.
we have both handed in our dissertation research proposals.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, that's all
finally
the way
a
with.
bit of
Oh,
Freedom.
that 10,000 word creeping up.
I can't wait.
It's going to be good. Well, I'm in a similar dilemma, except mine is 5,000 words, and I still am yet to finish writing my proposal, and I'm, procrastination's getting the better of me. But that's another story for another time. We just finished up with Plastic Love remix by Night Tempo. Definitely one of my favorite weeaboo tunes. I've certainly gotten into Japanese disco funk over the last week, and I'm going to spread the love for all of you listening. But on to the serious news. Venezuela has been very interesting in the last week because basically there's been a coup d'etat.
Basically, yeah.
So from what I understand, the former president, Maduro, has basically been unrecognized by most of the important world leaders or world players. The United States said he's not president anymore.
Yeah.
This other guy, Gallardo, is president, and Maduro's running an illegitimate government. So basically, in response to that, Maduro told the US diplomats to get out of the country, or he would, start rounding them up and pulling a sort of Iran situation on them. But the US is like, well, you're not president, so you can't tell them to leave. Oof. I must say, the foreign policy of the United States has certainly beefed up in the last 2 years, and I'm quite looking forward to what's going to happen in Venezuela. What are your thoughts, guys?
It's a tricky question because although there has been a sort of coup d'etat, we have to remember that the military still sides with Maduro, and it is a difficult situation because although the international recognition of Maduro has an important impact on Venezuelan internal politics, we have to remember that the elite of Venezuela and the whole of the military still seem to be backing Maduro. So the democratic force, that is a thing that the democratic forces will have to deal with at some point if they want to take back control.
That's true. I mean, it's interesting because I remember, was it like 6-7 months ago that there was an assassination attempt on Maduro?
I think it was, yeah.
Via drone.
Yeah, I claim it was a drone, but I think it turned out to be like a air conditioning thing going off or something like that, just on the side of a building. Yeah.
Well, I guess when you're Maduro, you can't be too careful. Yeah, just a disclaimer that none of the thoughts and opinions reflect that of Insanity Radio 103.2 FM. They are all our own. So yeah, if you want to prosecute anyone, prosecute me. But please don't. I don't have money. So yeah, Venezuela's been interesting. So I wonder if that's going to be the United States' new battleground. Where are we dropping, boys?
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. I think a lot of the problem does stem, especially from like Alessandro said, it's not just Maduro that needs to go, it's basically the whole country needs an overhaul from the bottom up.
That's true. Maduro was smart enough to inject loyalists into the military, into the elite. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I just hope that the forces of good, whoever they are, win out. Hence, it's probably not Maduro because the country's starving and he's quite overweight. So there's probably a reason why that's the case, and I don't think it's just poor management. Well, it probably is just poor management, but also he's a bad guy. He's not a good guy. Okay, so the countries that do... okay, this is interesting. So Tulsi Gabbard, who was a contender for the seat of President of the United States in 2020, still recognizes Maduro.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well then.
Ooh, we're gonna have an interesting couple debates this year and next
definitely.
year.
So she
Yeah.
was definitely seemed like one of the more up and coming ones from the Democratic side. I mean, she's very shunned by mainstream Democrats and a lot of the media as well. So she kind of seemed like a Trump-esque type of character on the Democrat side.
Many
It's
people
true.
saw her as the only one in the Democratic side capable of challenging and eventually defeating Trump, but she still supports Venezuela and Maduro.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, I know. I actually quite like her foreign policy because it's very non-interventionist. It's very US-centric and just, we want to do our own thing. She was one of the first people to throw a support behind Bernie. So it's very interesting that she's taking this very, very far left of field position, especially in America, where you can't support the communists. If you do that, that's a political suicide. So yeah, Gabbard still recognizes Maduro, and so does Mexico. So that's okay. So the Americas are on fire right now. Speaking of America, the government shutdown has ended. Woo! Yes, we did it, guys. Except not really.
Just another 3 weeks, then we'll get the real results. I think.
Then we'll know. So for those of you listening and who have been following the story, basically the government has been shut down for about a month in the United States over Trump's wall policy. I talked about this in last week's show. If you want to listen, please go on my YouTube channel. I need the subscribers. So basically Trump has proposed a deal for the Democrats and the Republicans to negotiate on. He wants bipartisanship, but he's also said if they don't agree on something within the next 3 weeks, he's going to use his emergency powers and build the wall anyway. So that's a really, smart political maneuver, because he's trying to create the bipartisanship and stop the obstruction, and it's making him look great, but he's also reassuring his base that, if nothing happens, he will get it done by 2020, which is his campaign promise. If he doesn't fulfill it, then, I don't see much of a chance of re-election.
No, me neither. So the way he's come about is definitely a very business-oriented side of it. He knows how to broker deals between parties, so doing it on a large scale like that, it's not going to be any challenge to him.
Certainly not. It's the art of the deal. If you have read the book, you know exactly how Trump thinks, and he's the deal maker, and if the Democrats aren't going to play ball, neither is he. So I'd say they should cut their losses and just pass something. Federal workers need their paychecks.
Exactly.
People need their food
At the
stamps.
end of the day, yeah, that's the people that really need to be concerned about.
It's true.
All these people's paychecks, over $5 billion for, just their own protection, really, at the end of the day.
Exactly. And I believe the Democrats recently blocked a bill which would allow for the back payment when the government was shut down, which would allow for their payment to go forth. The Republicans wanted to pass it. So isn't that interesting? It's almost like they don't have the people's best interest in mind. Oh, well.
But again, the Democrats don't have in their political interest to reach a deal. Their political aim at this point in time is obstructing Trump in any way, shape or form. It's what the base wants.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And the thing about it is they reject every single one of Trump's deals, even the really ones which would do the best for their base. They reject it before, they've even negotiated with or debated in Congress. I remember Trump's deal that he proposed about a week ago. Pelosi and the Democrats refused it before he even announced it.
Yeah, I think it was.
You can't work with these people. Politicians are the worst. And on that note, we are going to be going to our next song. It is an anthem of the Serbian people, half of my DNA. This is Panteri by Rocky Rodoljub Vulovic. Enjoy, fellas. And welcome back to Big Thoughts and Small Talk. That was Snake Eater from possibly one of the best games of all time, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. You enjoyed that as much as I did, didn't you?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That game took up so much of my childhood.
Did you guys play The Phantom Pain?
About twice, yeah.
Mm.
Love it.
I haven't gotten much progress on it because I can only play it during break. I got it Christmas last year, and I've been slowly chipping away at it. But, it's such a good game.
It is.
Definitely recommend it. Kojima, we love you. So, in the latest developments in the journalistic world, the Huffington Post opinion section and the entire team has been laid off. We no longer have the opinion of Huffington Post. Depending on your persuasion, that's either a really, really horrible thing, you feel bad for these poor journalists, or, if you're like me, you're celebrating because Huffington Post is the worst. It's so bad. So basically, Twitter blew up over this last week. Journalists have not had a good week, have they?
No, it's been awful for them.
After the wild goose chase and witch hunt for the Covington High School, Catholic high school boys was basically shown to be a big falsity, journalists have retreated, and now a lot of them are getting laid off. So I believe it was a Huffington Post opinion section, and also I think quite a lot of BuzzFeed's journalists as well were entirely laid off. Massive amounts of staff. Which, honestly, I think that, in these times of changing industry, they should just learn how to code. We no longer need people to parrot opinions and, basically be paid and over-glorified activists, which is what journalism has become these days, unfortunately. But yeah, this is great. Great news or horrible news. Either way, it's not the opinion of Insanity Radio 103.2 FM. Just got to make that disclaimer. Moving on. What else has been happening in the world that you guys can think of?
There've been some pretty interesting developments in my own country, Italy, that in which finally after quite a few years, I think almost a couple of decades, we got returned from Brazil, a very notorious ex-communist terrorist.
Wow.
Guilty with the murder of a couple of people and severe injuring of another couple of people.
Wow.
He got 5 life sentences.
5 life sentences. Wow.
He's been given political asylum since 2002 by Brazil's Lula, socialist president Lula.
Mm.
And thanks to the change in course of Brazilian politics with the new president, Jair Bolsonaro, finally we managed to have this terrorist sent back to us.
Awesome. And he's going to be facing Italian justice. Yes. What is Italian justice? Is that just, you throw pepperonis at him?
Italian justice can be quite of a mess. There are a little bit of judicial hurdles and problems.
Fair enough.
But for mediatic case of this kind, it's going to work well.
Yeah, I mean, this guy was around, he operated in the 1970s back.
During the years of lead, during the terrorist days.
Yeah. So that's. I mean, I think that's a great thing. We got to prosecute all the terrorists. We're gonna find them. We're gonna capture them.
France is hiding at least 50 of them.
Oh, wow. Oh, again, disclaimer. Just keep that in mind. But we need those terrorists. Please, France, give them to Italy so we can prosecute them accordingly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, got to capture them. Now watch this drive.
Exactly.
To quote one of the best presidents of the United States, George W. Actually, he's not the best president.
No.
He wasn't good at all. Okay, let's see what else is happening in the news. Venezuela's a mess. The government's reopened. Brexit's
just a mess.
It
has been for ages.
Well, I mean, we should be leaving by March 29th, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no way it can really be stopped that date now, I don't think, is there?
No. You would need a unanimous approval of the remaining 27 states, which is virtually impossible, especially with the next European Parliament elections coming up and the hope of certain political factions to gain control over the European Commission.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I mean, my thing is, and I was talking about this the other day with one of my mates, I just like, the window for actually making a deal closed a while ago, I think.
Yeah.
And I think it's just high time that, Theresa May cuts her losses and just realizes that, no deal, despite, not having, the trade benefits of, her EU pandering, is probably the best option, because at least you'll have sovereignty over your borders, your markets, and you'll be able to make new deals with the United States and the rest of the Commonwealth, which I think is, much needed. I think it's time that Britain got out of the Eurosphere and back into the Anglosphere, which is its calling. You guys started it. Continue it. Australia definitely wants a deal with Britain. I know that for a fact. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I've actually, just an aside, Canada. Do you guys know what's been happening in Canada as of recently?
No, particularly.
Okay, so this has been, sort of murmurs of this have been around for about a year, but now Trudeau has royally, he's screwed the pooch on this one. Literally, just look at Canada's laws. Basically, Alberta wants to secede.
Really?
Yeah. And Alberta is one of the only provinces which actually produces anything in terms of agriculture, and it also has a massive oil industry. And now, especially with shale oil, it's, economically, it's probably one of the richest regions in Canada.
Alberta.
And basically Trudeau, through his policies, has not been very kind to Alberta, and a lot of Albertans are now considering seceding from Canada and starting their own country. Or
51st state.
51st state.
Exactly.
Which would really make the United States map look really weird, because it would just be a smooth border and then just this tumor coming out in Canada. But yeah, so if Alberta secedes, that's going to put a massive economic damage for Canada. And if Alberta secedes, Quebec is not going to be far behind. Quebec is tried to secede in the past, but it was only through massive amounts of concession by the sort of Toronto-based government, Toronto and Ottawa-based government, that they paid massive amounts of money to the Quebecois to get them to remain. But, if that money dries up and they can't get the money from Alberta, Quebec is going to probably make it their own way. So that'll be interesting. Maybe Quebec will be the 52nd state.
Maybe. Unlike California, it won't be missed if it secedes.
Yeah, that's true. That'd be great. I mean, I would like to travel to Quebec and not have to cross a Canadian border. If it just remains in the United States, that would be awesome. That would be great. All right, moving on to our next song. This is Babe by Assonance. So I hope you guys enjoy. And welcome back to Big Thoughts and Small Talk. We are getting close to the end of our hour, and we have some unfortunate news, or very good news. We are starting our own little coup d'etat today, inspired by Venezuela. President Philip O'Connor has now been deposed, and we have now injected President Alessandro Santoni as leader of Tory Society. This is a unanimous.
Yes, following the splendid examples of leadership displayed by Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, we decided, the Conservative Society, to prove that we are not conservative bigots. We decided to follow our own way to socialism and decided to implement a coup d'etat against the current leadership of Philip O'Connor and replace it with a new revolutionary executive, which will lead the society towards a prosperous and bright future.
You heard it here first, folks. And I just want to say, I'm totally not being forced to say this. Alessandro is not holding a gun to my head, and this is definitely a soft, peaceful coup. Do not send help. Send help, please.
I'd also like to say that as current treasurer for the society, and probably the only person who knows anything about economics, I expect to be going missing sometime tomorrow morning.
Again. look at history and you'll realize that we have never done those kinds of things before.
But we can always start.
We can always start.
He's going to spend the entire Tory budget on wine and salami.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
And pizza.
And pizza, of course. What type of pizza?
Not Hawaiian.
Smart man.
It's
Smart
a very
man.
dangerous game you played there.
That's going to tick off at least half of the audience. And I'm going to say to that half of the audience, you do not put fruit on pizza. It is wrong. It's abhorrent. And I would really like to see the end of Hawaii just for giving us that recipe. Hawaii, how could you? Spam would be better. But,
Yeah.
I'm just that guy. All right, so we have about 2 minutes left. Any other final thoughts for Big Thoughts and Small Talk, boys?
What do we have?
Nothing?
No.
Wow, it has been quite a slow week,
Yeah.
to be
It has,
honest.
yeah.
In the news cycle, we covered everything so far.
Most of that was past 2 days.
Yeah, it's pretty much everything solved itself. I was just going to ramble on about how we don't actually need the government, but now it's open again, so that plan is gone kaput. All right, well, if that's the case, then I figure that we should wrap up now. This has been Big Thoughts and Small Talk on Sanity Radio 103.2 FM. Thank you very much for joining us. Boys, you want to say your farewells?
Goodbye, everyone. Hope you had a nice time. From Alessandro.
Yeah, just like to wish everyone a really good weekend, and let's get going.
Awesome. Good stuff. And to take us out is our national anthem. So I ask all of our listeners to please stand to attention unless you are driving, in which case floor it. No, don't do that. That's bad. All right, here is God Save the Queen, and I shall see or talk to all of you next week.